Welcome back to the doggone truth about rescue. Summer is here, and so are missed episodes. So we are back for another catch-up episode with Sai, of course, our co-host, and Jen Dulski. A lot has happened in the last, is it month or two now? Probably 2 months since our last episode, including a huge rescue save that happened on the 4th of July. So Jen, let's start there.
You know, I really should listen to like the last 10 minutes of our prior episode before we start these episodes so I don't repeat myself. But it's been crazy. I don't know if it's been 2 months, 6 weeks, or sometimes it feels like a year since we spoke last. But kind of one of the big, I don't know what they call them, like the major things. What's a term for something big that happens? But it was June 30th. We had just been struggling with the number of animals in our care. We typically have about 300 animals, dogs and cats in our care on a daily basis now. Now, think about that with the vaccines, with the food, with the daily care, with the shelters, with the medical on that. It's just, it's amazing when you think about it. The things that we're doing on the level that we're doing and the way that we're doing it with compassion and love and kindness. And it was June 30th. We had just had such a crazy month with vet bills. I have some of them in front of me. It's just, it's insane the numbers that we do. We currently have 12 dogs that we're treating for heartworm treatments. Now, sometimes heartworm treatments can be up to $1,000 per dog. And we think we had 249 dogs and cats spayed and neutered in just 6 months, as well as our vet bills were up $150,000 from last year. So from January 1st to June 30th, we spent an additional $150,000, all in, I think $190,000 for those first 6 months of this year. We're at the emergency vet. And if you think about that, it kind of does make sense with us because we take in the ones nobody else will take. So, we get that call about a dog that was hit by a car or a cat that was thrown out of the window and then run over, like all these extreme, horrific circumstances where it's going to be $10,000 to $15,000 just to try to save a life. Not even to guarantee. There's literally no guarantees in life. So I have a point. I'll get there. In June, the end of June, we were kind of maxed out. We were tapped out emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially. And that night, I'm not even kidding. I should have sent you guys a screenshot. I said, Kelly, don't tag any more animals. All of our barns are full. We've got too many cats. We've got too many dogs. Adoptions are slower. Everybody needs a break. And I think it was maybe an hour later. I should never say words like that because I put them in the universe and God's like, nah, that's not how it works. And we got a notice. Kelly let me know that 50 animals were set on the Oklahoma City municipal shelter out there, youth lists that were going to die July 1st, the very next day. And, you get one of those feelings in your gut where you're like, that you have to throw all forms of logic away, all forms of sense and everything inside you that says you can't do it. And we kind of got together. I called Kelly. I said, okay, what can we do? Let's start with one. Literally, let's just start with one. And so she started to reach out to the shelter and I said, well, let's call vets and see what we can do. And so she called a vet and out of the blue, one of the vets said, we have 20 open kennels. And they're like, how many do you want? And Kelly immediately, knowing me, knowing our team, knowing everyone, she said, I want them all. And now here's the thing too. 2 of those kennels were set up for a mama and 2 litters of puppies. So that one phone call after sheer panic and, kind of, like I said, throwing all logic out the window, any type of sense that's in your head and saying, let's figure out and find a way, we were able to commit to saving 38 lives in one phone call. So it's kind of just, you take a moment and you're just like, you don't even know how this happened and how it unfolded. And we didn't have Here's the thing too, guys, we didn't have pictures of them. We had tiny, tiny, tiny little animal numbers of them, no photos, no real details on the personalities. So when you ask us, how do we choose a dog? Or a cat, there's a lot of rescues that are like, well, we'll only take this breed, we'll only take this age, we will only take friendly animals, we'll only take ones we know we have fosters for. And we literally said, none of that matters. If there is an open kennel, well, we will take them all. And now another vet, there were 7 cats that were on that list too. And so we called another vet, and that vet was able to take those cats. So that's how we got to the number 38. And we just started putting them out there. Like before we had committed to any of these, we had the list that had the tiny little numbers. We put it on Facebook and social media, and we said, guys, 50 animals are going to die tomorrow. Can anybody help us in any way? Tag rescues. If you're in Oklahoma City, let us know if you'll foster, because it's really important to know that you cannot transfer an animal across state lines without a health certificate. And 99.9% of these animals that come out of that shelter or any high intake municipal shelter have some sort of kennel cough or upper respiratory infection, even the cats too. So you have to get a certificate that says you're not bringing anything transferable or contagious across state lines. So we couldn't just bring them all to us, even if we had 40 open kennels. But here's the funny thing. I jumped on an intake call with our whole team as this was going down. I said, guys, we're doing this. We're going all in on it. And everybody was on board. You get that excitement because you want to do everyone on this team will do whatever they can to save a life, period. Doesn't matter if we're drowning, doesn't matter if we're overwhelmed. We know if God puts that in our hearts and we're meant to save them, we will find a way. So we jump on this call. We're all there. We're all getting excited, and we're like, well, where are these animals going to go? Because here's the funny part. We don't even have 40 kennels at our shelters here. So if all of our dogs magically got adopted, they couldn't even come here. So it was the most insane leap of faith I think we've taken in a few years, because at one point we did take over a rescue that we took 100 animals into our care in one day, but there was a facility for that. It was a 700 square foot tiny little facility covered in feces, covered in urine, horrific circumstances, but we didn't have to physically move the animals that day. In order to save these lives, we had to get them out of that shelter. Did you have a question?
How often does that typically happen of like Oklahoma or another shelter just putting out a
The
mass?
mass euthanasia. Well, the thing was the 4th of July holiday was coming up. So in order that it's one of the most notorious holidays to where there's a huge influx of animals coming into the shelter because fireworks scare dogs. A door opens, fireworks go off, out goes cat, out goes the dog. They had a family. They don't have a family anymore unless they find them, unless they're chipped, unless they get reunited. So knowing this based on prior history, shelters had to clear them out. And how do they do that? They make space by euthanizing them. And the really, really amazing part about this, yes, it's a high kill. Oklahoma City is a high kill shelter. Yes, there's a lot of things that if we were in there, I would change probably everything. But just because I don't agree with the way the shelter is run or the practices inside it, doesn't mean there aren't good people in there still trying to save them. And we created a really great relationship. Oklahoma City, we have such beautiful videos. They actually loaded the vans to help us that day to get them to medical boarding. It was their team. It was their van, and they shuttled them to the vet for us. So it was such an amazing partnership to be like, nobody wants animals to die. They don't. Like when a rescue saves a life, we're basically putting a band-aid on the problem. We're not fixing the source of the infection, because you got to spay and neuter. We got to get in the communities. We got to educate people. But when it comes to backyard breeding and the mentality that, these are cash cows or, it's inventory, you're kind of fighting a lost cause, because you either believe they're souls or you believe they're commodities. So, one way or the other, and that's why I said, when we do these, when we take these ridiculous leaps of faith, we focus on what we can do right now. We may not be able to change the legislation. We may not be able to change a shelter, but we can only change and control ourselves. And we found a vet. We found multiple vets. And we found other rescues that would help. And we even found multiple fosters in Oklahoma City. Now, there were 50 animals on the list that day. 5 of them were deemed untransferable. What does that mean? It means they have a bite hold, that they're deemed dangerous, or a court hold to where they can't be transferred out. Of those 50 animals, deleting, or not deleting, but subtracting those 5, all 45 of those animals were saved that day. So it was a day where it was complete chaos. Nobody slept Monday night. Nobody slept Tuesday night. And then nobody's sleeping now because there's so much work to do. And we still have dogs and boarding out there that need homes. We're constantly advocating for them, but nearly all of them came out of there with upper respiratory infections from the conditions they were in that shelter. So the scary part of this is, after I just said to Kelly that night, don't tag any more animals. Of course, we tagged 40 in the next 12 hours. And I say, we're struggling with funds. We take on all these animals and we're paying just at the bare minimum without any medical $600 a day for boarding, because it's basically $15 to $20 per kennel, which is a great, great deal. Think about it if you take your own dog to a doggy daycare kind of thing. So, like I said, you got to have the most tremendous, ridiculous, insane faith to know that what we're doing has a higher purpose, and that somehow, some way, God's going to lead us through this, because we would not be called to act. We wouldn't have that feeling in our gut to know that nobody else would do what we did. Not one single person would blindly tag all of those animals and say, we'll figure it out, except us. And that's what we're called to do. We're called to be better every single day than we were yesterday, to build a better tomorrow, and to inspire people to step outside their comfort zone, and to be willing to take that leap of faith, and to know that God won't let you drown, because that's why we have each other. And so we jump all in together, we figure it out together. And it really is a crazy thing, because as we were feeling like we were so drained and so low at the end of June, we just took on 40 more, and everybody got re-energized, because there was hope, because we knew no matter how tired we were, no matter how many mistakes that we made, that we were making a difference, and that all these animals were alive because we chose to simply try. So that was Oklahoma City, and we've got an amazing match going on right now, to where if we raise $5,000, an anonymous donor will obviously match that, and then throw in another 5,000. So the people that give these matches and inspire others to donate, it's just a beautiful thing, because the medical expenses, they never stop. They never ever stop, and they never will stop. Not when we're doing what others won't. And that's why we constantly ask. That's why I have zero inhibition to asking over and over and over. But I will say thank you a million times over, because you guys, every single prayer, share, donation, that's what keeps them alive. That's what allows us to save others. And that's how miracles happen. It's just doing things that are so, so great and so, so impossible to others, that only God can get us through. So that was our Oklahoma City miracle. And we still got some dogs and cats in Oklahoma. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's always fascinating to me whenever we have a podcast and your story somehow resonates to the audiobook that I'm currently on. So I'm just wrapping up this book, Silos, Politics, and Turf Wars, about leadership and everything else. And it's basically about how everybody stays in their silo, and like what's most important for their department of, like, say always and forever is like fostering, adoption, medical, like we need to fix this, this, and this, except when you're in a crisis mode. And then it goes back to the whole organizational like goal and mission. And that is exactly what you just said, of like everything else didn't matter. It was like, what can we do as an organization? And everybody was on board. And that just made me so happy. I feel like I'm in
Oh,
school again, like taking my research to like real life.
that's so true. I
And that's how we talk
constantly,
about, like, he noticed it when he went to an ER, of like everybody communication, because like you're always in crisis mode to not question anything, of like how can we all work together the best. And that's exactly what this was. Anyways.
no, I love that, because we do have, guys, we're like every other rescue and shelter. There is drama, there is conflict, there is emotional turmoil, because you can't be involved in this work without having your heart break. all over the time by the animals and by the humans too. But that's why, we really truly focus on it. It's not just about the animals, it's about each other as well. And we fight the silos. It's easy to get lost in the, hey, this is my job, this is your job, stay in your lane. And we have these Tuesday, Friday meetings. We're constantly, collaborating and sharing and trying to learn and grow together. Because if we're not learning, we're not growing, then we're not going to be providing the best care for the animals and giving ourselves the life that we deserve to live too. So life is so damn short. You got to make the most of it in every single way. And you can focus on the good or you can focus on the bad. And whichever one you focus on is always going to be there. So it really comes down to that simple choice. And that's why every single morning I wake up every day and I share the joy and the love that these animals give me, because I know how blessed I am. And I know how many others on this earth would love to be in my shoes. And it's a privilege to be able to share it. But all those things that you just talked about with silos and stuff, we have them. We're totally human. We're in the infancy of our rescue too. Only been open 7 years, and the purpose of this rescue is to become truly a legacy and a model of how shelters should be run, small scale and large scale. It's taking the same principles. It's using the foundation that we built upon love and carrying that and spreading it throughout the world, whether you use Always and Forever as our name or any other rescue. That's why I always will take time to help people to learn how to start their own rescue. I have tutorial videos out there. If they email us, they can watch the videos that I've done on that. I am no one special. I have no background in anything related to rescue, but I wanted to save as many as I could. And God put the right people in my life to be on this journey with me. And that's where we are. I love that you're raising your hand. You can just interrupt me anytime that you want.
I'm doing that because I notice when we edit with Zoom
Oh,
and
okay.
cut this all out is when it's like two people talking, it's like muffled.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it's much
Okay.
easier to edit when it's like one person and then the other. So
Got it. I will stop.
now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, no, that is the perfect transition to the other two topics of starting and rescuing smaller and supporting. We need updates on Oz and or
Yeah.
Wichita.
Yeah.
We're doing the whole circle. We went Oklahoma, Wichita, Oz, up.
Yeah, let's go Oklahoma to Wichita. So really, really exciting. We signed our lease in Wichita, so we are waiting for the certificate of occupancy. It's a 3,000 square foot building. We were considering trying to get the whole 6,000, but it was just too much. We didn't want to take on more than we knew we could handle. But here's the really exciting part. We are going to be taking in the neonatal kittens and bottle fed puppies that are currently being euthanized in Wichita with 0% chance of surviving. Like, they can't even reach out to other rescues. They're immediately put to sleep. And that's going to be one of the first things that we focus on in Wichita. We've got an amazing group of volunteers out there. It's just exciting to know that there is hope on the horizon, and taking everything that we've learned from our little red barn here to KCMO to Osawatomie and saying, let's find all the things we've done right and build upon that, and all the things that we've done wrong, share that and not do that. And so we've got an awesome little team, an awesome little crew of volunteers, but we need more. We need fosters out there. If you're willing to volunteer to walk dogs, to help with bottle fed kittens or puppies, whatever it is on your heart that you want to help with, to drive, that's where we need you. And it's like I said before, it doesn't matter what location we're at. If you're called to our mission, if you're drawn to our mission, then you're a part of all forever. You have to only be with us. You can't be with other rescues. Share and spread love everywhere. If you want to give us an hour of your time and go volunteer at 500 other rescues, we will gladly thank you and feel blessed for your hour that you have given us. So that's the news with Wichita. There isn't much more because we just purchased kennels. They have to be installed. We're looking at about mid to end of August that the kennels will go in. We still have some renovations to do on the cat side, purchasing cat condos. So if you want to learn more about that, we've got a volunteer group. Shoot us an email and we can get you in there, because we're in Wichita and we're excited.
So is this overtaking? Are you going to be able to intake from the Wichita Animal Shelter and pull from them, or is this going to be completely separate from the Wichita Animal Shelter?
Really good question. This will be completely separate from the Wichita Animal Shelter. Nothing has changed at all, sadly, with that relationship. They will only exclusively transfer to Kansas Humane Society, who will not transfer to us unless we sign an agreement that says basically that gag order. So that we won't say anything, that they are a kill shelter, so forth, yada, yada. We can't change them. We can't. We've tried. We've offered everything, every possible thing we could think of to help Wichita Animal Shelter, even KHS, was disregarded in that sense. But what we can do is because we will have a physical shelter and a shelter license, we can intake strays directly. So instead of them going to Wichita Animal Shelter, they can come to our Always and Forever Wichita shelter there. And that's really how we're going to kind of divert the neonatal kittens and puppies that we're going to go there to where we're working with them, but not in a contractual relationship. They'll just be diverted over to us to save a life. So a lot of it will be networking with other rescues, trying to find fosters, and then really providing the daily care just to give them a chance to live versus the honest truth, which was and is immediate death. I think it was 100 to 140 kittens lost their life last month. This is the monthly average between 100 and 140 kittens. And just 14 days into July, 50 kittens have been euthanized at Wichita Animal Shelter. These are facts. Like, nobody's making up anything that's not statistically true. Nobody's doing this to defame or to slander anyone. These babies are dying and nobody is helping them. So we're going to get our shelter up and we're going to take them in and we're going to once again dive into the deep end and learn to swim because I have no idea what we're doing with neonatals. But we've got an awesome, awesome crew out there, and people want to be a part of something that makes a difference, that's bigger than themselves. And this is the opportunity, and Wichita needs it. They need it so badly. So that's the change. We'll also be taking in strays from like the old dogs, like the mercy euthanasia ones that we were hoping to divert them to us, to the ones that basically they don't get a chance either. So it's going to be gray and fuzzy as to how we do that until we figure this out. But because we'll have our shelter license, we can take those strays in directly, which is everything. And it's long overdue. It's exciting. It's scary as all heck. But we got the best people working side by side. And once again, we'll figure it out somehow, some way.
I think it's been the first time in a long time of like a overall positive Wichita update.
Yeah.
Last few podcasts we've had, it's been still no change, still nothing increase in this, but this is a path towards change. All right, let's
Well,
move on up to Oz.
I mean, if you think about that though, what has changed? Just us. And that's what I say all the time. Literally, the only thing that we can ever change is ourselves. So we fought for years and begged them to change and offered to help in every way. But then God said, hey, look inside you. What can you do? And that's what we did. And so I know it scares people with how many initiatives we have. And sometimes it scares me too. You know, we're drawn in a bunch of different directions. But every time we're drawn in a direction, we pull more people in that have that same passion and purpose for that specific mission. If we only gave our heart and our resources to this little red barn and we said we can't expand beyond that, then all the animals at Osawatomie would have 0% chance. Nobody would even know that still existed. It was closed to the public. You know, there was no scanning of chips. Owners couldn't get them back. And then there was mass euthanasia. So when we opened our hearts to say, hey, let's help Osawatomie, and then when we realized we needed more space, then we said, well, let's go to KCMO. Again, it's just the progression of growth with learning everything that we have taken and saying, I also think it goes into like love is abundant. And if you have something in your heart and you know that it's there for a reason, you have to share it. And people are drawn to that. People want to change. And just like us, they didn't know what to do for like decades. Nobody knew what to do in Wichita. Well, we're gonna figure it out together. So we're gonna be clueless together until we get a clue, and then we're gonna be saving lives along the way. Because no matter what, whatever it is that we do, if it's one soul that we save at a time, it's worth it to that soul. So yeah, kind of going back to Osawatomie, we gotta it's pretty it's exciting because it's always exciting to me. And I can talk about this stuff forever. But you look at Osawatomie and you think about the shed. Did you guys ever see the shed before any of the renovations? Okay, Sai saw it.
Yeah, photos.
It has a very it has a very distinct past of darkness. And it was just a tiny little shed, metal box in the middle of nowhere, no signs, nothing. We came in, we purchased it from the city. It took 5 years to purchase it from the city. We put in a beautiful renovation on it. It's painted white, black trim, black doors, addition with its own bathroom, a cat room, a little office. And one of the most beautiful things about it now is it has ginormous play yards. So it's a 3.5 acre piece of property with 3 huge play yards on it. That's my favorite thing. 6 foot chain link fence, just perfect. Beautiful, beautiful little spot right next to a golf course. You'd never know the dark history of the past. And that's what we want because we live in the present. We focus on now to build a better tomorrow. But from this, in the purchase of the pound and sale to us, we are now an open intake shelter for the city of Osawatomie. What does that mean? It means that every single stray dog and cat within the city limits of Osawatomie comes into Always and Forever's care at our shelter. And we never charge Osawatomie. We never did this to, we don't do anything to try to make money at all. Like, it's not about that. Obviously, we're a nonprofit, but it's not about trying to get funds from them in any way. It's about saving lives because we knew without us, literally no one was taking care of them and then they would just die. So ultimately, when you are an open intake shelter or when you help, because we do help some other cities, you take in dogs that have bite holds or court cases to where ultimately the dog may have done something truly horrific and it's the end of their life. And they're serving a 10-day hold or sometimes even a 30-day hold or longer pending the court decision. And in that time, depending on the severity of the case, we might not be able to legally even handle the dog, which means they will go in one of our kennels that has a guillotine, and the dog will go on one side of it, we'll clean it, and then we'll clean the kennel, and then we'll put fresh water and food, move him over or her over, block it off, and then, clean the other side, and we'll do toys or enrichment things for them, but we never get to physically touch them or walk them. And I think one of the hardest things that happened, and it was a little beautiful gray pitty that looked like my Z, came into the shelter. And we found out it was a bite case, and we were told absolutely no touching it. Do not ever trust this dog. It is extremely dangerous and it is trained. So there were certain words that were attack words that we would never know, right? Because you're sitting there, you go in your, however you talk to a dog voice, and maybe you say one of those words and then something truly horrific could happen. Well, something truly horrific did happen. This dog was owned by a known drug dealer, and the gentleman that he attacked nearly lost his life. And we held this dog for, I believe it was just about 2 weeks. And his life was ordered to end by the court. And we have zero say in this. We're literally just the caretakers when it comes to situations like this. But to see this dog that looks just like my dog, that has a little wiggly gray little pitty body, and looks at you, sweetest, saddest eyes, to know that you can't touch him, that you can only talk to him and give him love verbally, and that their life is going to end in weeks. I think that probably one of the hardest things for staff to see and to know that they never see the sun again, that they will never be worked again. And this is the life that they have for the last 2 weeks. Now, in our little Osawatomie shelter, there's about 16 kennels in there. And I'm not going to lie, I personally hate kennels lined up, but because it is, you taking in strays from the city, the dogs are screaming, it's new dogs all the time, and I hate it. And it's the space that we have, and it's a billion times better than it was. So it's a beautiful blessing. Don't get me wrong. I love that. But we were thinking about it, but it's great that's why we really focus on our dogs get out 6 to 7 times a day, and we do play groups. And so they go on doggy dates and hotel sleepovers. So we make them, they have a life that is worth living right now. And that's beautiful. So then it doesn't matter what their kennel is like, right? Because they're living, they're not just waiting. And this dog was just waiting. And so that's where we were on a Tuesday, Friday call, those collaborative calls that I was talking about. And we thought, well, how do we make their life better just for the end of their life? And it was actually Miranda that came up with the idea, well, why don't we build a tiny home, just like we did for TK and Copper? And then maybe we can enclose it with a fully fenced in yard with a dog door and a fence that goes on top. So there's 0% chance of escaping as well. We have a way to control it to where our staff can safely go in and clean, etc. and so forth. The way their end of the life, they can at least have peace and not the screaming environment of all dogs around them, never being outside, never feeling the sun again. And that's what evolved to, we decided to call it our lighthouse. So the very first lighthouse is going to be a little white barn. I found a place called, I think, Midwest Mini Barns. Talked to him on Friday. Awesome guy. Spent a couple hours on the phone. I said, this is what we plan to do. And the very first one I am personally going to sponsor. So I purchased a little white barn with black trim and a black roof and a black door that's going to be a duplex. And we're going to put, it's just under 200 square feet. It'll be a duplex. It'll have a dog door in and out. It'll have AC. It will have heat. And then each of these dogs will have peace. And we're going to call them the lighthouse just because it's going to be, it might be the end of their life, but in many ways it's also the beginning of the next life with only peace, with only hope, and with no pain, because no dog is ever, in my opinion, no dog is ever born with those demons. Like, we train them to have them, or something in the environment brings it out. Now, sure, there's genetic disorders, but that's us breeding them to have that too. That's on us. That's not on the dog. So it's not about judging them for their past. It's about loving them, even when we can't touch them, even when we can't change the outcome of their life or their death. What we can change right now is we can give them peace. And again, that's looking internally. So the very first lighthouse that I purchased arrives August 22nd. We still need someone to sponsor the concrete. It's about $5,000. I purchased the little mini barn. And then what we're going to do is we are going to kind of be like an all hands on, a DIY, do it yourself, DIY. Okay, got it. DIY, like Habitat for Humanity. We're going to get out there. We're going to put the drywall up. We're going to put the wall up, put the floor down. And all cost for one of these lighthouses should be just about $20,000. Now, the barn itself cost $12,000. That's what I paid for personally. And then if you want to purchase the next one, you'll be able to not only name the lighthouse, but it can be dedicated to whoever wants to. The very first lighthouse is going to be Libby's lighthouse, because my girl, in so many ways, I wouldn't be alive without her. I had her 14 years of my life. She was my first dog as an adult, her and Muggsy, and she got me through the hardest times in the world. And in so many ways, she wasn't just my angel, she was everybody else's angel too. And so that's kind of how I see it. I see her guiding these souls to the other side of heaven, or to heaven on the other side. And so that's the thought of the lighthouse. And then when you take it that way, I think, well, we've got one lighthouse up. We've got 3.5 acres of land. And I don't like the kennel environment with them all screaming at each other. What if we put 10 more lighthouses up? What if we just line them up and we had a little village of lighthouses where then you could have a mom that's brought in with puppies, or can have a little kitten lighthouse over there. You can do pairs in there. And so it's just thought everything is about making today as best as we possibly can in the circumstances we're in, and looking at a situation and say, yeah, we did invest a lot of money in these kennels, but we can give them to a rescue that needs them, and they can benefit from it, an environment that may work better for them. And then what could we have? We could have indoor space where dogs and cats, not dogs and cats together. That's always a bad idea. Where dogs can run. And when it's 110 degrees outside, they can be indoors, the air conditioning. And there's so many different ways that we can do this with cuddle rooms and with people visiting. And so I see Osawatomie transforming to where it's just a little village of lighthouses where there's hope beyond tragedy and there's love without conditions. And that's our future. And we're going to start one lighthouse at a time.
I mean, going back to you saying about leaving a legacy, those last 3 updates, I think you are well on your way. It's in Furever and so many other ways too, but every single decision you make definitely goes towards that.
Well, it's not, I think there is a shift because at some point when you're starting a rescue and you're saying, hey, I want to save an animal, great, do it. Jump in, be a foster, do whatever you want. But if you're going to start a rescue, you really have to think, is this something that you want to be in your time?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the thing that you want to go beyond? And that's ultimately, I think everyone should think about their legacy in whatever capacity and whatever form your passion is, your heart calls you to. We are all imprinting part of our soul on others in things that we love. And that's what legacy is. It's forward thinking. It's not about us. It's about the next generation and showing them that love truly can change the world. And Sheila, I gave up red meat. I'm so proud of myself. I gave up red meat. I have given up pork unless it's in my fridge because I just don't buy anymore. So if it's in the fridge, still, I'm just not letting it go to waste because they gave their life. And so I'm still eating chicken though and turkey because I don't know how to give those up yet. But someday, guys, we will have a farmstead. We're gonna have a farmstead. I know it.
I'm proud of you, Jen.
Oh, yeah.
I thought pork was gonna be the first thing you stop eating, but
I just had it, so I feel bad wasting it because they already died, and so it's like, well, I will honor you by eating your bacon.
And it's so hard for me to explain like my mindset and why I became a vegetarian at 13 and stuff. But once you truly own and love a horse and know how closely it is related to a cow and then like put those into perspective, it's hard to explain to someone until they actually experience that emotion and love and like caring for that sized animal. That's not a dog that's living in your house.
Yeah.
So
no, I
welcome aboard, Jen. If you need recipe ideas, anything like that.
Well, Julie suggested like impossible meat. That all sounds like weird.
No, that's almost not even as healthy. There's other options. I'll send you, Krishna, you and everyone on this podcast knows Krishna, or us 3 know Krishna. Krishna, our very good friend, GM of the Glory. I'll always say things and I'm like, there's 24 grams of protein in this. There's 30 grams of protein in this. And she's like, Sheila, you are the only person that I know that feels like you need to say how many grams of protein are and everything. I'm like, well, because as a vegetarian, everybody thinks you're not getting enough protein, but there are so many ways. Oh, I'm so excited. But
no, it's I think it's just a shift really because they're souls too. I mean, they are. I can't think that chickens are because I eat chicken all the time, so I'm not there yet. So, God, please don't put a soul in the chicken because they're just like, I will never believe fish have souls. I don't like fish. Everybody eat fish.
They do experience pain. I just read an article of when you pull them out. Yeah, when you pull them out of the water.
Oh my God.
It's like 60 seconds or something of excruciating pain.
I'm sorry, I can't save the fish and I can't save the snakes. I don't care. Let them die. I cannot handle them. So we will never be a fish sanctuary. Are there fish
koi? You can rescue koi because a lot of people breed them and farm them, and then koi ponds are really hard to keep up with, so they like think it's a good idea, and then they want to get rid of them.
Yeah. No.
But that's okay.
I do see us saving dairy cows someday. I really do.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Do we have any dogs? I mean, we'll let it side, but get to her part. Do we have any legacies? Dogs named Legacy?
We do. We have a dog named Legacy.
Jen, who's our cover dog for this episode?
Legacy. Legacy is, I'm sorry, I thought somebody else was taking this but me. Legacy, oh my gosh. So, this is a really good one because it does make sense. Legacy was deemed PDD, potentially dangerous dog, out of Wichita because she attacked a cat out there. So she was going to lose her life in Wichita. An Oklahoma City rescue, actually, I'm not sure if it was Oklahoma City, it was just an Oklahoma rescue, not sure which one it was, tagged her, arranged for a Freedom driver to pick her up from Wichita, bring her to Oklahoma. He grabbed her. He stopped for the night at his house, and Legacy did not like his dog and liked the wife and the son, but then turned on him and started to show some aggression to him. And when he called the rescue and shared how she was, they told him that they would no longer take her, but they would pay for him to put her to sleep. So a volunteer went to Wichita Animal Shelter to pick up Legacy. We named her Legacy from there, took her home, and then the rescue abandoned her there. And when we got word of that basically she didn't potentially like men, Craig actually jumped in his car and drove there and picked her up. And she immediately liked Craig. And Legacy has been in our care 3 years now. She's people selective. She's slow to get to know you. And she just made friends with Copper. Like, she was super, super dog aggressive. She just made friends with Copper and TK, and that's due to Michaela's amazing training. She's our trainer. She works spending so much time with our dogs and their reactivity. But Legacy's been with us for about 3 years now, and she's a pity. You know, people see that, they see slow to new people, they see potential dog aggression, and they think liability. And I don't know that Legacy has ever had a single application for adoption when they know all of her background, and we share everything. So Legacy, she's waiting for home. I just spent Sunday night with her. I was helping out with the sweets, and she just leans into you and she cuddles and she presses her whole body on you. And if you lay down, she will smother you with kisses. And she wants a human so badly because she has so much love to give. So if there's someone out there that's willing to give Legacy a chance, I promise you, even if it takes you 2 or 3 times to get to know you, it's worth it. I remember the very first day she came to the Little Red Barn, they're like, oh, she doesn't like women with blonde hair. And I was like, well, I'm screwed because I'm literally just opening the kennel for her in the morning. And, she was cautious at first. But when I'm with a dog that I know could potentially be reactive, or any dog, because we take in so many dogs, I actually don't touch them the first day. I will open a door, I'll open a kennel, I will just let them be. I keep my space until they come to me and they invite me to pet them or be a part of them. So it really is about learning how to communicate with these dogs that could be potentially reactive. And everybody should know that from the beginning. It's respecting their space, respecting their boundaries. So Legacy needs a home. She's amazing. Check her out. We definitely don't think 12 or under kids because they don't pay attention to those triggers and boundaries, not because she wouldn't be good with them, but just we want to set you guys up for success as well as her too. So she's amazing.
She's a cutie.
Oh my gosh, did I do this within an hour?
You did.
I did it.
You did.
Good job, me.
Good job. We're gonna get more regulated, even though I say that.
Your hands did pretty good. I think your hand did good. Like it was very helpful. Oh, we didn't even talk about the pontoon. We'll talk about that next time. Little Big Paws.
Next time, Little Big Paws.
It was so exciting.
Running. Is it on the website? How do you request?
I don't fit it yet. So much. It will be soon. It will be. Check out it's our lake day with the dogs.
Lake day with the dogs. Check out Facebook. We will talk about it in more detail next episode. Sai?
As always, it's never too late for a happily ever after.